We have terrorism, which is a big thing in that we're faced with. The badges, the guns, the cell phones, the propane tanks, the laptops. It's all about this Muslim invasion, this Trojan horse. So, what are a lot of people doing right now? They are gunning up. They're buying firearms, and they're taking classes, and they're getting their CCWs, and they're getting ammo by the as much as they can, and they're arming up to protect themselves and their children and what they have. And we see what's going on in Europe right now, in Germany, the women being raped. They're trying to bring in, so they will not assimilate into the American lifestyle. So they're going to come in here and wreak havoc, just like they did in Europe. So how do we protect ourselves with that? Well, we can reinforce our personal property, security cameras. Put fencing around your property line. Make sure you have good deadbolts and stuff on your doors. Do the buddy system. Never be by yourself or caught by yourself.
Make sure your fence is electrified.
Yes, electric fence is cool too, but
barbed wire.
Bob, they don't care about barbed wire.
Razor wire works better than barbed wire. And electric fencing only works as long as you have electric to run it.
Well, not only that, but then having pets, dogs, good watchdogs, shepherds, Dobermans, Rottweilers, all of something that's a little bit larger breed and a little bit.
I believe anything that would have a matey bark would deter someone for sure. Because I mean, if you go to hit a door in order to break it down, and mind you, you won't get down the first hit. But if you start hearing a matey bark on the other side of that door, you ain't going to break that door down. At least I wouldn't.
Now, in this situation, we have we're facing a Trojan horse with the Muslims invasions. Well, I think every backyard should at least have a big-ass pig in it.
Yep. Yep.
Be a pig farmer. Buddy system, pepper spray, carry a good knife, like again, firearms, and beef up your security system around your home, whether it be with your pet, security cameras, some kind of safe, fail-proof way of being able to contact somebody else to let them know what's going on. Here's an example. Here's a prime example with one of our majors from our group. He lives in Connecticut, so he's urban area. His wife's home alone. He's at work, kids are at school. She's doing whatever's going about her errands or routine at home. She sees out her movement out her door, out her window, and there's two guys, and they're going to her side door, and they literally rock the handle back and forth of the doorknob and see that it's locked. They go around to the other door and do the same thing. Now that would freak me out, But I would definitely, at that point in time, make sure that I have my firearm in my hand and ready to defend myself.
Yep.
So that's just, something that you're going to be faced with terrorism. And when you're out and about, make sure that you're, constantly have something to be able to defend yourself with.
Right. I think a lot of that goes down to personal security and personal space awareness, which a lot of people aren't aware of nowadays because they're too busy. What? And if they just got their nose out of their damn phones, it would be amazing what they would see.
You're exactly right. Remember that dude that was texting and fell off the cliff and killed himself? It's a true story, Gunny. I swear to God.
I know it is.
These people have gotten so into the technology these days, they have no clue. That's why they had to put laws against texting and driving, because these idiots did. That text is more important than watching where the hell you're going and risking everybody else's lives in your vehicle. So you need to be aware of your surroundings at all times. Example, point being taken, we were at Walmart, And there was a bunch of shady characters in there. They were all dressed the same, all had the same exact haircut, and keep it up, Gunny. And they were trying to blend in, but they weren't blending in. They were standing out like a sore frickin' thumb. And they kept watching us, like, you know, I was putting stuff in the truck and that kind of thing, and it was very peculiar. But I was able to see that and be able to be on guard and for whatever to expect, whatever comes next, you know. So that's what people need to do, is be aware of your surroundings. If you're working a shop and you're the only one there, and your hours are from noon until 8, and it's dark in the wintertime by, you know, 8 o'clock up north anyway, you know, and you're going out into that parking lot by yourself to get into your vehicle to go home, the chances of you getting, you know, bum rushed by yourself are very great. So you need to be aware of what's going on around you at all times.
Yep. Something I can say for myself, I work in retail, and I have to deal with customers a lot, just being around, making sure I'm not in their way and this and that. And I have gotten it down to a point where I can hear one like 3 aisles away. And I usually have an idea if they're pushing a shopping cart, if they're just by themselves, what they're doing. It's back to that situational awareness.
Exactly, exactly. And that's the first thing that they teach you in when you were, you know, going to join the police force. That's the first thing, is being aware of your surroundings at all times, because you have to be able to be, you know, able to react in a very short period of time, and to be able to be coherently thinking what you need to do, whether it be, you know, defensive act or, you know, run, for lack of a better term. So yeah, situational awareness is a big one, along with, you know, what we've already mentioned. Basically, you know, I hate to say gun up, you know, but what if you're a felon and you can't own a firearm? Well, then there's so many other things that you can do. There's slingshots.
Legal things you can do.
Yeah, legal things you can do. Name a few. You know a few.
Slingshots. Carry a knife with you. I like a pocket knife with you. Pepper spray, which you already mentioned. Shoot.
I know Gunny's missing this one, because when I grew up, I had 2 stepfathers. Both were truck drivers. One was for Preston 151 line, and the other one was for Monkey Wards. Well, I call Monkey Wards. It was Montgomery Wards back in the day. They both carried these knockers. They had specific names for them, but
yes, they do.
but they
Tire
are
thumpers.
Tire thumpers.
There you go.
But that's not what we call them. But
It's
anyway.
not what we called them. But they were about around somewhere between 12 and 15 inches long. Some of them had chains on the end, some didn't, you know, fastened. They kept them. They're about maybe 2 inches around, solid piece of wood, and they would either. Some of them carried steel bars that size, and some carried wood, and they'd put it behind their seat or under the seat, anywhere quick access. That's another idea, and that's not a firearm. So, you know, you have to be creative. You know, very creative. There's so many medieval things, if you can remember back in the day, something very similar to that, short, like a baseball bat with nails coming out of it, you know? I mean, you just really have to be creative and think about it. I know another guy who used to be in our group. He always, he was a carpenter, I believe, and he always had a nail gun on him, you know? Hey, nail gun's a great protector and a great deterrent, you know? So,
Take the safety off, they fly.
Yep.
What's that?
As long as you take the safety off.
There's a safety on the front of them. If you hold that back, it becomes like a .22 rifle, and you can shoot it. Whoa. You can literally put wood fence posts up across the street.
Well, you know, you have to be really creative and inventive, and there's ways to protect yourself and your family. And not only that, but, you know, maybe take a class in self-protection, like fighting, how to defend yourself, how to take an assailant down, how to disarm an assailant, because they might pull a gun on you, and you might pull a knife on you and hold you at gunpoint or knife point or something, and you'll be able to learn strategic moves tactically, how to take this person down or how to disarm them. So maybe perhaps take one of those classes, self-protection classes. You don't always have to have a firearm in order to be able to defend yourself or take care of, things like that.
But something else that should be mentioned is whatever you decide on, make sure you know how to use it safely. Because it doesn't do you any good if someone's attacking you. You got to use whatever, and you end up injuring yourself, allowing the attacker to basically pick up the pieces.
Right. Well, that goes with anything that you might have that's, a weapons type thing. You always have the risk of somebody disarming you and using your own weapon on yourself.
Right.
So that's why I said, you should take some kind of self-protection or self-defense classes that teaches you, and there's tons of stuff on YouTube that you can research in that area that would give you a kind of an idea what you need to learn or to go seeking out to take that class or that course, so that this is what I want to do. I don't want this to happen to me, so I want to, this scenario. Can you, tell that person what you want? And I think that would be, not only do I want to be able to disarm someone, I want to keep them from disarming myself. So as far as bows go, I guess they would come in handy as long as they're not right up on you. I mean, I guess you could, if you had a crossbow or something like that, is one thing. But a compound bow, I don't know if you've ever shot one, but I mean, you have to. It's pretty hard to get. I can't get it back. It depends on how many pounds it is, but
most of the new ones actually have a crank. You don't actually have to manhandle them.
Okay, that's for a crossbow, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I think my son has one of those because he's got pins in his elbow.
Okay.
But to have a compound bow, that's kind of something that you really have to practice with to get used to. You know what I mean? So, but if you're talking an urban area, where you're going to be kind of up close and personal with someone, not that they're going to be, down the lane from you 20 yards, 30 yards, they're going to be up close and personal, and if you're not paying attention, women carrying purses and that kind of stuff, they've always had to be careful with that, and that's why a friend of mine just recently took a class, got her CCW, and started asking me about where she should carry it. Should I carry it on my ankle? Should I, keep it in my purse, or should I keep it on my small, my back? What's the best way to carry this at work? Because, her concern was tight-fitting shirts or jeans or whatever. And I told her, and she's kind of a stocky built girl. She's, built kind of like me. And I said, well, small the ankle with that, because she wears these kind of wide jeans all the time, wide bottom jeans. That would be cumbersome to try to reach down and grab that weapon out from underneath all this bulk of jeans, to be able to use it in a short, quick response time frame. So that's probably not a good choice for work. In your purse. A minute while I run over here to my purse and go through half a dozen shit that I got laying on top of my firearm that's in the bottom of my purse. Yeah, that's not going to work either. So, and if somebody snatches your purse, now you not only got your money, your credit cards, your ID, but now they got your firearm too. So that's probably not a good thing either. The smaller your back, there's so many positives and negatives with that. I carry a small of the back, but not as an everyday carry type situation. I only have a small of the back holster for when I ride my motorcycle. Okay, it's out of the way since I'm sitting down and bent. It's not digging in my side or in my into my liver. As I said, I got some liver issues, so the small of my back works best for me. It's easy for me to get to. You have to practice that a little bit because it's a little bit different reach. It's not so good riding in a vehicle because now it's up against the seat, so you're not going to be able to get your hand between you and the seat. Also, if you happen to fall on it, it could do a lot of damage not only to your spine but to your kidneys. So it's really not a a good safe place to carry. I always say the best place to carry it is your side, your hip. Although some people do prefer the cross draw, and use a shoulder harness. Her gun is a Smith & Wesson Shield that she's looking at, so it's about a 3.5-inch barrel, where mine is a full frame 4-inch. I can't just conceal that anywhere. She might have better luck. They do make bras for women and that kind of stuff, but I think it's mainly you have to, like you said, with practicing things every day. And some others, maybe you said at this segment or another segment show, but practicing that, you have to practice your draw. When you have a small pistol concealed firearm, you have to practice that. So if you're in a situation, it's muscle memory. You don't have to think about it. It's already automatic, built in, and that way you'll know what's easier access for you.
If you're in a car, though, I don't see you needing to draw, as you already have a 8,000+ pound bullet.
Not necessarily. Say you're pumping gas, and you just got done getting pumping gas, and you're getting into your car, and somebody comes bum rushing you from the side. That instant, you got one leg in and one leg out. That's a scenario right there that can cause an issue. Or you're at a red light, people jump in the passenger side. A lot of people forget to lock that. That when you're in a vehicle, lock that vehicle. New vehicles now, if once you're in gear and you're going down the road, it automatically locks for you. But not all vehicles do that. The older ones don't. So if you forget to lock that passenger door, you're at a red light, somebody can come in there too. I've seen it and heard it happen before. Just saying.
No, I'm not arguing.
You have to.
My first instinct, if I'm in the vehicle and somebody's approaching the vehicle, I'm just going to drive away from them.
Situational awareness.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Also, if you're in a city situation, I've had this happen even to myself, and of course, I never really, I felt bad for the guys, but in the city, when you come to a red light, I had some jobs and clients in the city I had to go visit, and I'm at a red light. A guy would come up and want to wash my windshield. Friend or foe. He's just looking for a dime, okay? So basically, how do you work that scenario? Maybe he'll come up with the intention of cleaning your windshield. You put your window down, and now he's inside your window. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to be able to have access to your firearm or to whatever weapon of choice you choose, whether it be a knife or whatever. They do have holsters for in between your legs in your seat now. They have them under the dash now. So it's really something you need to think about. What's that?
They have a steering column one now, too.
Yes. So it's not only just a personal preference, but something that you would have to know about your own physical capability of doing. For example, Radar has ataxia due to his accident in his left hand. Well, that means he's using his right hand more than anything else, steering wheel, whatever, because that's what he's become dependent on. So if he goes to use the left hand, which is usually, he tries to do the 10-2. I know how he drives. It drives me crazy. So he's on the 10-2. And he needs to real quick reach to something to get his gun. Of course, he's right-handed. He's going to reach down with his right hand. He needs something easy access. It can't be sitting on his seat because that's not concealed. I guess the laws would be different. I know I heard a law just came out and said that if the gun is in a car, anywhere in the car, that's considered concealment.
It depends on what state you're in.
Exactly.
Because I know in Florida, if I remember correctly, you need to do 3 things before you are able to fire a bullet. So if I keep a pistol in my lockbox, in my glove compartment, and have to rack around, and I lock the glove compartment, there's 3 things I have to do before I can get to that firearm and fire it.
Which, to me, by then you're probably dead. Yeah. I think that's retarded. I really do. Some of these laws make absolutely no sense at all in the normal average Joe trying to defend himself, an honest, legal average Joe trying to defend himself from a perp that's trying to take take from him. So I think a lot of that stuff needs to be rewritten. I know right now we have issues with the gun grab stuff, and we have to fight our legislation with that. We have to keep on the phones with these guys and trying to make a change with the gun grab stuff. I don't see it. We have to wait till we get a new administration in there, I guess.
Well, I will point out that that is without a CCW, that you have to have 3 things.
Okay.
I would believe with the CCW, you can just have it on your seat next to you, but it has to be covered up. You're not allowed to open carry in your vehicle under any circumstance, if I remember what I read correctly.
Well, I know if I go now that West Virginia or Virginia is no longer going to accept my CCW, those 3 things you mentioned is something I'd have to do through that state with my firearm because of my CCW not being recognized by that state.
If you're going through a state, you're under the Federal Transportation Firearms Act or something like that, which means it's got to be unloaded, locked, and out of arm's reach. It cannot be in the glove box.
Well, I have a link to that website for each state that gives you the gun laws for that state. I'll put a link in the box below.
Yeah, I'm only talking about transportation. I'm not talking about your CCW or anything like that.
Right. Well, this site gives you all the laws according to your, for guns in general in your state, and I do have a link for that. I had a friend that recently asked about that on Facebook, so I'll just drop that in the box below. That way, if anybody has any questions about gun laws in their state, as far as using one for self-protection, getting trained, getting their CCW, all that information will be in the box below.
Anyway, here's your comic relief.
Uh-oh.
Things I trust more than Hillary Clinton. Mexican tap water, a rattlesnake with a pet me sign, an elephant ride with Ray Rice, Bill Cosby as a bartender, gas station sushi, a Jimmy Carter economic plan, Brian Williams news reports, emails from a Nigerian princess,
Yeah.
and a prostate exam from Captain Hook.
Oh my God. And on that note, we're out of here, folks.
Ouch.
And remember, folks, it wasn't raining when Noah built the ark, so prepare today to survive tomorrow. Good night, everyone.
Night.
Night.